So we actually have some good news regarding Social Security, and I want to address what's going on because the fight for Social Security and Medicare is actually getting a little bit stronger. And this is why we're finally getting this good news for Social Security beneficiaries. Because for the longest time, we didn't know what to expect. We know that some House Republicans wanted to get their way and see cuts to Social Security and to Medicare. However, Democrats, they want to get their way. They want to continue to spend money, even though the U.S. doesn't really have it. They want to continue to spend. And this is turning into a very long fight. So something that you need to understand is that something is now happening where we are expecting a negotiation and to meet somewhere in the middle. Now, here's where we finally have some good news. Over the past few days, we have gotten a handful of statements from lawmakers regarding their stance on the debt ceiling and Social Security. But none of them have been as important to what was recently said by Senator Joe Manchin. Now, if you remember, Senator Joe Manchin, he was against many Democrats' proposals over the past year. He was against additional spending that wasn't going to be offset somehow. He was against taxing businesses and even the wealthy because he didn't see a reason to target specific groups. If we were going to tax people, let's tax people that make over, for example, $1 million. That's who we will tax. But just going after the ultra wealthy, people that are billionaires, he didn't see the purpose behind that. And that could have brought up somewhat of a negative precedence moving forward. So he voted against things like that. However, things are changing, and this is where the good news comes in. He said this weekend that now that the U.S. has hit its debt ceiling, we need to find ways to reduce spending. However, that should not include cuts to Social Security or Medicare. Again, good news. Now, he also went on to say this, and I quote, "I've got 60% of my population. That's all they have is Medicare and Social Security. You think I'm going to go down the path and put them in jeopardy? No." That was his statement from this weekend. Now, even this was said, prior by former President Donald Trump last week that no, we should see no cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Absolutely none. Now, here's the issue. And this has always been the issue. How do we shore up Social Security and Medicare? That's the discussion. Now we have options. But what options do we have? Well, according to Senator Joe Manchin, this is what he said. And I quote, "The easiest and quickest thing that we can do is raise the cap, but also address wasteful spending." Now, the current Social Security income cap is set at $160,200. And 6.2% of that is paid by you. The other 6.2% is paid by your employer. There's also a 1.45% tax for Medicare on all your income. There's no cap. And again, it's paid by both you and your employer. Now, Senator Joe Manchin, he originally opposed an increase to the Social Security income tax. And again, he was waiting for the best option. Now he sees this as the best option. And according to one Republican that didn't want to be named, and we do not know if this is a Republican from the House or the Senate, this Republican said Republicans would be willing to negotiate the Social Security income cap, but not without cuts elsewhere. And most anticipate this is what Republicans are wanting, is we are going to see a cut to the IRS spending. That's what we are anticipating. Now, I know this doesn't mean we have a deal in place just yet, but the good news is the talks are fluid. We're moving. We see one party asks for something, the other party gives their response. This is how bills are put together. And I know it's not that exciting. I know you're probably thinking, well, I was hoping we're going to see the $200 per month that President Biden promised. Well, that's unfortunately not coming. Now, here's the other thing you need to know. The fact that Medicare will not be able to afford to pay 100% of their benefits starting in 2028, This is very concerning to millions of Americans, and this is why lawmakers are pushing to get something done this time. Because estimates show that Medicare will only be able to pay about 90% of their benefits come 2028. Social Security in 2034 will be able to pay less than 80%. That is concerning. And again, I've asked this before. Let's say your Medicare benefits get cut by 10 to 15%. Could you afford to go to the doctor? Could you afford to pay your deductibles? Right? Could you afford these things? Or what if your Social Security benefits got cut by 20 to 25%? Could you afford to buy food, pay for your rent, and things like that? And almost every single person that I've asked said no, absolutely not. Now, I want to be very clear on something. And this is, it's a little concerning. According to a recent report, raising the Social Security income cap to $400,000 might not even fix the financial problems that are associated with Social Security, because Social Security has been a financial wreck for years. And it's not because of the people. It's not because people are retiring. It's because of how it was run. Pulling money from Social Security and not putting it back. That's a problem. Now, one thing that you need to understand is, according to a few experts, they say this issue and solving it by raising the Social Security income cap to $400,000 per year, this might just be too little, too late. As a result, a handful of Democrats are actually against raising the cap in an effort to avoid the possibility that Republicans have been right all along. They are saying that if Republicans come out to be right, and that this entire program needs a complete overhaul, that would be the worst thing for Democrats, because they've been saying that no, it's fine. We just need to make some minor adjustments. But again, as of right now, we might have to see cuts if the only option is to raise the cap from $160,200 all the way up to $400,000. First, this goes against what President Biden has been wanting to do and his campaign promise. But the other thing that it does is it will put Democrats in a very tough position, because if this doesn't fix the issue, then Republicans were right all along. And again, that's not what Democrats want, especially a couple years away from the presidential election. So at this time, we are in the beginning stages of this negotiation. Even though President Biden has stated that he will not negotiate, the negotiations have already begun. So as always, as we know more, I promise I will fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.